keep you, engaged and also support the panel. So I would like to invite Eric from Ivory Labs to be the moderator for today. We have another Eric from Bima, head of growth at Bima, Eric Chiang, to join us in the panel. So Anthony, the co-founder of BitFi, please come forward to join us. And Taylor, again, from Hemi Network. So pretty much we are looking forward to the next alphas in this panel. So guys, please give a round of applause to all the panelists, and over to Eric.
All right, everyone. So for our next panel, we're going to talk about unveiling the next alphas, specifically for BTCFi. And then we have three amazing experts here that we're going to dive deeper in detail. So really quickly, I'm just going to have them introduce themselves, and then we're going to go right into the questions.
Hello, everyone. Eric Chiang here. I am the head of growth at Bima. And I joined them last year. I came from a traditional finance background, having worked in Goldman Sachs and other banks for about 10 years previously.
Hello, it's Anthony from BitFi. So our platform is pretty young. We were live around half years ago. Right now we have around $500 million TVL in Bitcoin asset. And glad to be here and share some info for everyone.
Yes, you guys just heard me, but I'm Taylor from Hemi, head of growth at Hemi. We are both Bitcoin and Ethereum layer 2, set to launch here in the next few weeks for our public mainnets. So, yeah, thank you.
Excuse me. Can I request you to bring the mic closer?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And Anthony and I went to school, the same school, and also Taylor and I also alumnus from, so we share some background in the past.
All right, so the very first question is, what is BTCFi? And why is it different from traditional DeFi? And how can it benefit ecosystems like Ethereum and other learning ones? And what value does Bitcoin bring to decentralized finance? And we'll go ahead and start here.
We have 4 questions.
What is BTC?
Okay, I'll see if I can remember. So I don't think I need to define BTCFi, right? We just think DeFi on BTC. I think any sort of DeFi system you require a triangle: the liquidity, the utility, and the yield, right? So in the past, we probably couldn't get any of them. There's no liquidity in Bitcoin. People use a store value. There's really no yield and definitely no utility, right? So I think for the last couple of years, with a lot of new development in R&D, now we can actually create some liquidity, doing staking, doing lending, borrowing. So we have some yield coming up. And I think the last piece of the puzzle is going to be on the utility part, which I think maybe payment will be the first part of the game, right? So the people always think about the whole BTCFi system is like 2 trillion based on the market cap, right? But I think the way we should think about is not just the addressable market; it's more about the accessible market, right? So the top Bitcoin holders are U.S. government, Chinese government. Obviously, they're not going to be participating in the BTCFi. So I think more like the 200 billion-ish is a market that we are focusing on. I'll give it to Anthony.
Okay, sure. So for me, BTCFi is DeFi for Bitcoin. So previously, there are no any DeFi for Bitcoin because of the limitation of the chain itself. Like you can't deploy any smart contract or do anything with it. Basically, it's just a store of value or transaction tools. But right now, with great BTC alters like Hemi and great CDFi or DeFi protocols that work directly with Bitcoin, you can do a lot of stuff with Bitcoin right now. You can leverage it, get a loan, buy a car. You can gamble with it. You can do some liquid staking, leverage, do some crazy shit. This is BTCFi for me. So basically, leveraging DeFi technology to unlock potential for Bitcoin.
Yes, like agreeing with what Anthony said, BTCFi is just like DeFi for Bitcoin. Like I think it's like definitely what I mean, I don't want to say I'm biased, but it's definitely what I'm most bullish on. I think it's like just a matter of time until Bitcoin is the biggest asset of DeFi. I don't think it's an if, it's just like a when. I think if we brought like 2% more of the total Bitcoin on chain, it will be the biggest asset in DeFi already. And the people like are comfortable holding Bitcoin and want to earn yield on their Bitcoin. I mean, last cycle, I mean, we saw the growth of these CeFi platforms that obviously blew up, like the BlockFi, Celsius, FTX, like all these earn products. So there's clearly a demand for people to earn yield on their Bitcoin. And by being able to do it in DeFi, you can do it in a more transparent way. You can use it across more ecosystems and create new use cases for Bitcoin to unlock a lot of idle liquidity.
All right, so currently in the state of BTCFi, what do you feel are the most promising protocols? And do you feel right now it's more in an experimental phase, or they're actually gaining real traction at the moment for BTCFi?
Maybe you start first.
Yes. Okay. Well, obviously I'm biased. The most promising, one of the most promising BTCFi projects is Hemi. So we're supposed to, like I said, launch public mainnet here in the next 2 to 3 weeks. But I know this is obviously biased, and they're up here on the stage. But these are two protocols that are on Hemi, BitFi and Bima, and I'm very bullish about both of them. Like BitFi, they generate real yield on BTC. So you deposit BTC into BitFi. Then they do funding rate arbitrage on the BTC to be able to generate around 8% APY and real yield. That's like real yield that's actually earned. It's not just being paid in Hemi tokens and BitFi tokens. It's actual yield, a sustainable product. And I think any kind of protocol that can earn real yield on assets is very interesting to a chain because it reduces all cost of capital. And just creating structured trades, cool trades for BTC-based products is like what I'm most interested in, like unlocking that liquidity. And like usually if you can launch a product that makes people money, like they like that product.
Advice, no promise.
So before saying about BitFi, I think personally I'm very bullish on any Bitcoin altos that gave access to the underlying Bitcoin, to the protocols. I'm like, those are the real alto, I would say. So there are a lot of alto, and partial of them can actually give. So take our protocol as an example. When BitFi is integrated with Hemi or some other chain, we accept the L2 BTC, and we are able to get the underlying Bitcoin, and that is essential for BitFi because we do funding rate arbitrage on the Bitcoin itself. If we can't get a Bitcoin, we can't trade with a thin air token. We need the actual Bitcoin as collateral to do basis trading. So with all those proper design altos, I would say, they can unlock a lot of new types of DeFi protocols to build on them because of the permissionlessly or hybridly permissionlessly access to the underlying Bitcoin. So that is for the alto. For protocol itself, of course, I'm bullish on BitFi because we generate real yield on Bitcoin. And in this market, you can see a lot of Bitcoin liquid staking protocols. But if you dive in and check, not many of them can provide real yield. All are VC-backed token that they print, even they wrap a layer of point system, say they guarantee you great yield. And when they TG, then you know the real yield is, which is normally bad. So, but for us, we also do the Ponzi scheme, like the point or stuff. But the underlying core value that we provide is the 6 to 8% native Bitcoin yield. No matter bear market or bull market, it's there. And yeah, that's why I'm bullish on my own protocol.
Well, I think it's hard to say which one is the most promising. I think we're all doing really well, and we all three of us work together, in certain ways to collab. But I think more importantly, I think BTCFi is still very early on in the whole development, And I feel a lot of projects now struggling or focusing on very near-term yield and TVL instead of more a sustainable business model, right? So that's the whole. We'll see how the landscape change a year from now, because now all the liquidity is very scattered all over the places. I think we haven't seen a dominant player or players yet, but eventually I think it's going to be one or two main ones going to have the rule of the market and set the landscape.
I'm also super bullish on all these projects. So, what do you feel are the biggest technical, regulatory, and adoption challenges facing BTCFi at the moment? And how's the ecosystem going to overcome these specific hurdles?
Yeah, I sort of alluded earlier. I think the biggest challenge technically is just a sustainability of the yield and the utility, right? I don't think people have found a business model that is going to work for the next 5 years. I think we can focus on 2025. Can we get a yield? Can we get a TVL? Can we give them some points and TGE and all? But it's a very near-term focus. I don't think people are really found the right long-term business model. That's the first thing. The second thing, I think Bitcoin by itself is still slow, right, in terms of transaction speed. We have Lightning Network. We'll see how it goes. But for the most part, compared to Solana and all, the speed and therefore the mass adoption still has a long way to go.
Yeah, for me, I think the challenge will be on the yield side, actually, a sustainable yield. Same thing. So right now, even with TGE project, yeah, they can give you liquid token for yield if they don't have a native generate yield method. So the challenge will be when bear markets happen, so everything drops, Bitcoin will stay, let's say it dropped 30%, but all other tokens will drop more than this. So the yield that they can provide won't be sustainable anymore. So if they promise 10%, now it will be less than 3 or even less than 1%. So where the TVL will go, and how do they keep the TVL? How do they make this ecosystem like alive? That will be the challenge. Right? And I believe when bear market happen, that's when all the scammy project or DNAT token project will die because they can't keep the TVL anymore. And where the TVL goes, protocols that can provide real yields. Yeah, for example, my protocol.
I agree with what both of them said, but I think adding to that, I think safety is probably like the biggest concern for most LPs. Bitcoin has historically an asset that's kind of similar to gold. People kind of just want to hold it. They don't want to put it that much at risk. So I think providing safe ways for people to use their Bitcoin and DeFi, having strong proof of reserves, having instant redemption of the 4 underlying Bitcoin, it's a big area. I think that a lot of people are still scarred from the last cycle about with FTX, BlackFi, Celsius blowing up and people losing their BTC. So I think having safe, transparent ways to use your Bitcoin is probably the biggest need among LPs.
Okay, so between lending and borrowing, staking, and layer 2 solutions, where do you think the next wave of BTCFi is heading?
Sorry.
What is it? Lending, staking, or layer 2s for BTCFi?
What's the question?
What do you think the next wave of alpha is heading towards?
I would say neither. None of the above. I would say, people more focusing on beyond just like lending, borrowing, staking, right? Could we have some fun, on the BTC ecosystem, right? Kind of like, can we have a pumped up fund into Solana, on the Bitcoin? I think, can we have asset creation, asset launches among the consumers, the players on Bitcoin? I think the business model needs to be more innovative than just say lending, borrowing, staking, in order to find the next alpha.
I think like all the I think all the above are relevant for BTCFi. I don't think it's like that sexy. The idea of like lending BTC, borrowing against it, restaking your BTC, or it's like swapping among BTC LSTs. I don't think it's like that sexy, but I do think there are use cases for it. Like the idea for like BitFi, for example. So BitFi can generate a 6 to 8% organic yield on BTC. So imagine like a simple looping strategy where you just deposit BTC into BitFi, get BTC, lend it, borrow WBTC or another BTC LST against it, and then just keep repeating that process, essentially multiplying that implied yield of 6 to 8% by the leverage that you take minus the cost of borrowing the underlying capital. I think like building structured products among BTC-based assets is something that's really interesting. Can attract new capital to enter the market, and I'm like very bullish on the idea of structured products within BTCFi.
So for me, I think the next alpha will be on L2s actually. One thing that Ethereum kind of fell on is that too many L2s. Like, how many Ethereum L2s are there? I don't know. Hundreds. Yeah, like hundreds. So all liquidity are scattered on hundreds chain. And right now on BTC L2, we see the same. Like, there are quite a lot of L2s, but when bear market come, some will die, and all the liquidity will be concentrated to the good ones, and time will prove like whichever high-tech BTC L2 is the best, or which one can provide the best use case, or they can provide the real-world use case, then those will stay. And I would love to see which chain will stay, and those will be the chain that can bring the next alphas.
What do you think?
So I personally believe that, because of traditional finance and, you want to have the most viable use cases first. So I believe earning yield, like staking, like obviously be very important to just get the adoption and more users on board. So yeah, I believe it's probably either earning yield for the users or lending would be the first two protocols. So what do you guys see within the next 12 to 24 months as far as the evolution of BTCFi and where it's heading?
I think, when and if the bull market finishes, this year, next year, whatever. I think consolidation is inevitable, right? I think a lot of layer 1, layer 2 dApps is going to be gone, finished, or get bought out. I think we have a shakeout, and then before coming to the next wave of innovation. I'm hoping that we get something totally different, in the bear markets in terms of the new technology and new development within the BTCFi system, beyond just lending, borrowing, and staking.
For me, I think that within the next 2 years, when the bear market comes, there are a lot of protocols will be filtered out, the bad ones. And at the same time, the smart brains from L1, L2s, the OG one, like Ethereum, and near, like those builders can see the opportunity on Bitcoin. And Bitcoin itself, like it's a chain, like we are not biased, so we can work with any chain. As long as there's a proper bridging solution, we can work with any L1 or L2s. So with the next 2 years, when all the like weird L2s or weird protocols die, then we can see a new wave of innovation, like the proper one. Right now, BTCFi is still very young, and yeah, there are some bad players still alive. So I'm looking forward after 2 years.
I think next 12 to 24 months, we'll see Bitcoin become the biggest asset in DeFi, and Bitcoin become the biggest asset in DeFi. And I actually think that having all these different L2s, I know we're obviously an L2, so like we're one of many. I think it's a very positive thing. I think it creates a ton of competition. It creates a ton of competition, which is only good for you guys, like the user, or you guys as the protocol, because in order to win your business, like us as a chain have to be able to provide something that's unique, something that's safe, and something that can beat the other chain. So like the more competition you create, yes, a lot of them will get weeded out. So like, there are some bad actors, as Anthony mentioned, but competition is always a good thing. Like anyone who doesn't welcome competition, like is kind of just like afraid of it in a way. Like the more players there are, the more competitive it gets, the more your liquidity is going to cost, the higher grants you're going to get as a protocol. So like, I do believe Bitcoin will be the biggest asset in DeFi, and I'm very, very bullish on this market right now, and just on BTCFi as a whole.
So we're gonna change it to an open format. We're gonna ask if there's any questions from the audience. Did they want to ask any of the panelists specifically? So is there any questions that we have for BTCFi? Audience? Anyone?
Can you expand a little bit more on the bridging between BTC and Ethereum?
Taylor would be the best one to answer.
Sure. Yeah, so like, very good question. The question was, can you expand more on bridging between Bitcoin and Ethereum? So Hemi, like we are not just a Bitcoin layer 2, we are also an ETH layer 2. So the name Hemi comes from combining the Bitcoin hemisphere with the Ethereum hemisphere. I think that a lot of people have like looked at them as completely separate like markets, completely separate niches. And you're either a Bitcoin layer 2, you're an ETH layer 2. And that's all you try to focus on. But no one is trying to like really merge, the two verticals really besides Hemi. So we call bridges on Hemi tunnels. We have a tunnel that from Bitcoin to Hemi where users can bridge over native Bitcoin to Hemi to get Hemi BTC and use that across our DeFi ecosystem. But yeah, I think that like bridging the gap between Ethereum and Bitcoin, like if you can marry the king and queen of crypto, you're going to win. Like and they're not competing assets. They're the two biggest assets in crypto. So like figuring out ways to have them work together is great for interoperability.
Do we have any other questions?
Yes, I have one comment and maybe a couple of questions. The first one is I think we are here because we believe in Bitcoin, right? But I think a lot of my friends, they still don't know what Bitcoin is, right? They always think you have to buy one Bitcoin, and they say, oh, it's too expensive. So as an industry, maybe you need to start having a new unit, kind of like you don't buy a kg of gold, you buy grams, and then you buy smaller units, and then you start having your products that doesn't have that exposure to one Bitcoin, or they think whole units. So maybe that's my comments. When you design your products, make it in smaller unit like sets, or maybe 1,000 sets for something else. Okay, so that's my comment. And my question is, how do you factor ruins and ordinals into your products?
Yeah, I think I can take the first one, but the second one I have no clue to properly answer that. But for the first one, you're right. Like, if a BTC product requires an entire Bitcoin to join, it is very crazy high bar. Like the retail won't really stake one Bitcoin into one single protocol, even they have. That's why, like, for example, my protocols, the bar to stake the protocol is 0.0001 BTC, which is around $10 USD, which is designed because we believe retailers also have the right to enjoy what whales used to be enjoyed previously. So we merge CeFi and DeFi together, which we do basis trading with Bitcoin. So when our user give us $10 worth of Bitcoin, we still do the same trade for them. We treat them fairly, and they have the same incentive, the same log of time and stuff. But for the rules, I see other speakers have comments.
Yeah, I think like we've been working actually with like a new NFT platform called MedPark about bridging reads or nodes over to Hemi and like, kind of collateralizing them on the Bitcoin mainnet to be able to use and interact with on Hemi. I'm not like the biggest runes or nodes guy to be able to speak on this, but to your point of people thinking you have to buy one full Bitcoin, like it's something that like I run into too, of like friends and family saying like, oh, that Bitcoin is like too expensive to buy now. It's like, oh, you can start with like $10. Like what I always recommend to people, and I think it's like a great investing strategy, is just do a DCA, a recurring order, every day, every week, buy $10, $5, $20 worth of Bitcoin, and like just set it, forget it, do it forever, and it's a great way to get in the space.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up, but we're gonna have one final statement for all the speakers. So we'll go ahead and how you just summarize.
Stay bullish.
Buy Bitcoin.
Long your lawns.
Thank you everyone for attending this panel. Appreciate it.